Socialist Party of Great Britain, and it's currently worth 2.6 million. So why does a party that believes in a moneyless society have so much cash?
Just down the road from Inferno's nightclub in Clapham Common, in 1951, the Socialist Party bought this building for £4,000, and now it's estimated to be worth 1.3 million. But where's the rest of their money coming from?
This is something else that people will go, socialists? How can they have an investment fund? That's impossible. How hypocritical of them. My name's Paddy Shannon. This is our head office of the Socialist Party of Great Britain, and I've been a member for 40 years.
Why does a Socialist Party that believes in a moneyless society have so much cash?
Because it's so old to be. I think that's the main reason. A couple of people just joined the branch I'm in just this year. And I wrote to them and said, oh, nice to see you. And they said, look, sorry, we don't really want to do anything because we're both in our 80s. And I thought, why have you, and one of them knew about us from the 1960s. So I thought, well, why are you joining in, now? And I think I know what it is. I think that some people feel that, okay, they haven't done enough to protest against capitalism in their working life because they didn't have time and they had families and all that sort of thing. But just before, they sort of check out, as it were, they'd like to do it as a party member with a party card as a sort of final, gesture.
How can you relate that in terms of the party's ideology? Some people might find that a bit contradictory, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you could do, I suppose. I used to, back in the days when we used to sort of make our lives miserable by standing on street corners in the rain trying to sell our magazine, The Socialist Standard. You'd sometimes get people coming up and say, well, if you believe in no money, you should be giving that away for free. And it's a cheap jibe to make, but you can't afford to just do things for free. We want to we want people to abolish capitalism, but in the meantime, we've got to live in it and we've got to make our way in it. And that's why members, bought this place back in the 1950s, whenever it was, because we had to have a base, as they saw it then. And we've always operated at a loss. We've run at a deficit for as long as I've been in the party, and it costs money, it just does.
Where's the money going to? What do you spend it on?
What do we spend it on? Some of it we spend on financing our activities. Like I say, we produce a magazine that makes a loss. We have to pay about $30,000 a year on this place. Its rates and what have you. So some of it goes we have an investment fund. So this is something else that people will go, socialists? How can they have an investment fund? That's impossible. How hypocritical of them.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I'm quite surprised to hear that.
And when it was first proposed, a lot of us were quite shocked. Like, how can this be? This is talk about talk about heresy. But it was pointed out by our, treasurer at the time. He said, look, if you put money in a bank, the bank lends your money out to someone else, to companies. You don't get to say who they lend your money to. You don't even know who they lend your money to. They lend your money at interest, which they then keep and pay you a fraction of.
What about things like investing in oil, things that contribute to climate change?
Yeah, fair question. We had a discussion at one conference not very long ago about how we shouldn't be dealing with Amazon. I think somebody had suggested, oh look, we could sell, pamphlets and whatnot through Amazon, and somebody else objected and said, oh, we can't touch Amazon. They're completely sort of, immoral. Look at how they treat their workers, sort of thing. And I thought, okay, fair, true, good point. So this generated a whole discussion about, well, who do you call an ethical investment in that case? I mean, what is really ethical? So, and we realised that you can't play goodies and baddies like that. Capitalism is a system with companies that do what they do to make money. And on top of that, I said that, putting money in investment funds is just like putting it in a bank, and when you put your money in your bank account, you don't get to pick and choose who they lend your money to. They don't even tell you. Do you know what I mean? Can you go to a bank and say, I'm going to give you this money of my wages, but you're not allowed to invest in oil, you're not allowed to invest in armaments, you're not allowed to invest in this, that, and that. See what I mean? You don't get that option. Investment trusts don't give you that option, so we don't have that option.
So what are the Socialist Party's grand plans for the future?
I mean, first of all, the socialism that we envisage is a post-capitalist world society, so there would be no question of us or some group like us, trying to run capitalism in one country, or we couldn't have socialism in one country. It would be impossible. We can't make people go in our direction. We don't intend to lead them. Somebody clever once said that if I could lead you into socialism, someone else could lead you out again. So we're not leaders, but we want to show the way. And if people are willing to do that and want to do it and think it's a good idea, to move beyond capitalism, then we hopefully will still be here to say, okay, yeah, we have all this sort of catalogue of ideas and arguments, use them, use our ideas, use our arguments, don't reinvent the wheel, these sort of things. So, we'll be there as a resource.
Do you think that will happen though?
I hope so, because otherwise what is the point? We might as well just give up and say, well, we'll just let the oligarchs destroy the world. Because, I mean, this is the problem, is that I think a lot of young people now are starting to realise that the world probably is running out of time at this point. In terms of climate change, maybe they're not bothered about the oligarchs, but probably people are putting two and two together in their head and thinking, well, you've got this massive inequality with these oligarchs who are the sort of power brokers that they make and break whole governments now. Governments have to do what the market says, but what the market says is what the super rich want.